So Gucci Mane and Keyshia Ka'oir pulled up on us at the Breakfast Club, and man, I walked out of that interview like, I still don't think we have an idea fully of what Gucci's struggles are day to day. And God bless Keyshia Ka'oir. She saved that man's life. Let's talk about it. So hopping right on into it, Gucci Mane, Keyshia Ka'oir came on the Breakfast Club, and wow, was the conversation, like I knew the conversation was going to be a good conversation. I'm a huge fan of Gucci's, of course. Really, really big fan of Keyshia Ka'oir. I remember being in college and like, you know, we was doing the color lip gloss, the color lipsticks and the hair and, you know, all the things. Because Keyshia Ka'oir had, or she still does have Keyshia Ka'oir Cosmetics, but I don't know, she had us in a chokehold at that time. The girls that had the hair with the middle, like little mohawk. I never did a little, you know, mohawk thingy, but being at Dell State during that time, being at college during that time, you really got to see the impact of both of these people. So sitting here with them, you know, whenever I'm at Breakfast Club, it's always like, damn, I'm really, you know what I mean? Like I'm really sitting here with the, but then they're there. Gucci's in a different space in his life. He's talking about, you know, everything he's dealing with, you know, mental health wise, and the book and the album episodes is out. So I knew it was going to be an open and vulnerable conversation, but I had no idea. I want to take a second to just talk about some of the things that we talked about and some of the ways I saw people responding to the interview in total. So Keyshia Ka'oir and Gucci, you know, they are married. They now have 2 kids together. And from the outside looking in, before we learned that Gucci, you know, was dealing with mental struggles of his own, their relationship has been one that, you know, trends a lot of times as a fairy tale. From the story about Gucci giving Keyshia Ka'oir the money before he went to jail, and her flipping the money and him coming home to all this money. And, you know, just you always see the videos and the photos of the Wobsters and them, you know, they dressed alike, they fly, they walking in the concerts, doing this, doing that. But to hear the other side of things where it's like in real life, she is, and I think, you know, when you're married, you are your life's, like you are your partner's lifeline. But I think it's in such a different way when that person is dealing with anything, you know, any type of sickness, whether it's a mental health situation or it's, you know, a physical disability. It's just different. And I think them being vulnerable and opening up and talking about this, not even think I know. Keyshia Ka'oir literally just posted to her Instagram that someone reached out to her. She said that she'd been getting flooded by DMs ever since the Breakfast Club interview. But she says specifically, right before I walked into this podcast, I saw her post that there was a mom who says, my son was watching that interview. He finally would be honest with himself about the fact that he does have mental health struggles and that he does need some help. Thank you. Because now they're able to actually go and do something about it. And Gucci talked a bit in this interview just about, you know, what that looked like shame-wise for him and why, you know, it kind of took him so long to come around and just say, yo, here's what's going on with me. Let's take a listen. For you, what was it like just trying to protect the business that you guys have built while
I have a system.
Personally...
I take his apps off his phone. First thing I do, I delete Instagram. I delete everything. Even if I got to change his password, I'm changing it because I don't need the public to know he's having an episode. You realize you'd never know about any other episodes since September 13th because I control that. Because you're not going on Instagram, you're not going on Twitter, it's deleted. You know, and I just control everything at home. And now before the episodes come, I catch it. So that's why he hasn't had another one. And how you catch that is he doesn't speak to you. He wants to be left alone. He don't eat. He does not sleep. Text messages, there's a period after each word. And I'm like, you're going through an episode. You're sick. No, I'm not. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Why do you think that? You're not speaking to me. Well, there's nothing to talk about. I said, well, that's not how you speak to your wife. And I'm like, you're sick. And we snap out of it right then.
Wow. You know, we heard Kim this week say how Kanye just used to give away their cars and stuff when he would go through episodes. And in the book, you talk about,
I did that.
You just used to be giving away stuff.
I gave away jewelry.
Money.
And jewelry cost so much.
Money.
You know how much it costs for jewelry? Like, I gave away, I would give my friends jewelry and like they know I went well, they'll take it.
Damn.
They take
That's why,
advantage of you.
I felt like, damn, they know something's going on with me, but they'll take it. So it's like, when I got out of jail, like I cut off all my friends, my old friends. I'm like, damn, they were taking advantage. Like,
I wonder what the psychology is behind that. Like, why when you going through an episode, you feel
give away money and I don't know.
You don't care
You're not
about
in your
nothing.
mind. Because the money don't, it's not, you kind of like in a warped world. It's almost like, it's a psychosis, you know what I'm saying? It's not, you dealing with stuff like, you hearing voices.
Yeah, they have voices.
You know, and you hearing voices too, like, it's telling you to, you know, you might think that Charlamagne I might think that you trying to fight me, you ain't even did nothing. You be like, bro, I ain't did nothing to you, what's wrong? Like, I'll be like, trying to fight you, Charlamagne, like, you did this, you know what you did? You stole something from me. And you be like, bro, I ain't stole nothing from you. But in my mind, I'm like, it's the truth. So that's what I used to deal with.
How did therapy and the self-work change your relationship with anger? And like, do you still wrestle with that same inner voice that you talk about throughout the book?
I don't. I don't. It's like I seen a therapist. I gotta start taking medicine that prescribed for me, what she thought, and it worked. And I haven't had any other problems.
You know, I always wondered when people have episodes, what sparks it, right? Do you know what sparked the episodes?
I think drug use,
Stress,
stress, not sleeping combined. It wasn't just like, okay, I drank the lean. It was also I'm drinking lean, and I had like 5 or 6 charges, open cases. So I was so stressed out. So, you know, I'm going to the studio and I got all these artists. I'm steady working hard. You know what I'm saying? So from the outside looking in, you would think that I'm not fazed about it. But it's almost like I pushed the cases out my mind. You see what I'm saying? But it's still a stress. But I'm just not dealing with it. I'm not talking about it. I'm just like acting like it's never gonna happen. Like court not gonna never happen. But that's a big stress. And I'm steady drinking lean, smoking weed, taking pills to kind of numb that. And then one day it's just like the straw that break the camel back. Boom, now my mind can't take it. When I had the episode in 2019, 2020, it was COVID. That really just messed me up. And then another thing what triggered the episode was I got my teeth done and they put me under anesthesia and the drugs messed me up when I came from under anesthesia. I was having an episode, flipping out. And I'm like, damn, I ain't even doing, you know, I can understand that. You know what I'm saying? So even if I go, it's like, damn, I never thought that would be a trigger. But that was a trigger. So it could be a multitude of things.
Gotcha.
Now, one of the things that I think, you know, I knew that there was going to be some fallout because when Keyshia Ka'oir has said, you know, my man don't got to do nothing but relax, basically. Here's what she actually said.
I treat Gucci so good. Like, I know I said this when he first came out of prison, I would bathe him and whatever. I don't bathe him no more. But I used to bathe him. Now I still cook for him. Only thing Gucci got to do is shower. He don't got to do nothing else. I do everything for that man, but not because I have to do it. I want to.
Now, when she said that, when she sat down with Carlos King for, you know, the conversation she had with Carlos King, the world was in a uproar, period. Like, people could not understand what she meant by, I make peace, I make home for my man, even though, again, at that time, I didn't fully understand the extent of, you know, Gucci's struggles. People were in an uproar. So when she was talking about a lot of the different things in our interview at the Breakfast Club that she had to do just to make sure he got through and gets through actively, you know, what his struggles are mentally, I knew that people were going to have something to say. Now, let's take a listen to Keyshia Ka'oir talk about how she was able to protect Gucci from what was happening, protect Gucci from the world while he was going through what was happening mentally. Because a lot of y'all, because of this, are I don't know, like the reaction to her talking about how she protected him in this situation has been a little odd to me. Like I saw people saying like, oh, it's giving caretaker more than it's giving wife. And I'm like, wow, people really don't understand what it's like to deal with someone who is dealing with something health-wise. You instantly become a caretaker. You don't have a choice. Because even if you bring people in, they don't love, nurture, or have the patience. The patience is the biggest thing. They don't have the patience like you have for the person you love. And you're it's 24/7, especially when somebody's dealing with something with mental health. Let's take a listen to Keyshia Ka'oir talk about, you know, deleting Gucci's apps off his phone so that the world didn't know what he was going through after his last meltdown with all those tweets.
I take his apps off his phone. First thing I do, I delete Instagram. I delete everything. Even if I got to change his password, I'm changing it because I don't need the public to know he's having an episode. You realize you'd never know about any other episodes since September 13th because I control that. Because you're not going on Instagram, you're not going on Twitter, it's deleted.
Okay, so this clip right here is what caused a lot of the conversation. I've seen several think pieces since this clip made it to the public, since this interview made it to the public. And, you know, I think it's what I learned when dealing with people who have mental challenges and, you know, physical health challenges is that you're literally in a world of your own when you are caring for those people. They're in a world of their own. Like I remember, you know, in my mom's, you know, stuff is a lot different than Gucci's, but because my mom had a head trauma, when we caught my mom's cancer, it was brain cancer first, and then we tracked it back to the lung. She had to do a biopsy on her brain. And I remember, for like the first 4 months after that, just in trying to care for her, there would be so many times and so many different things that she would say and do. And it would, like it was so, when Keyshia Ka'oir said, she says, I'm not dealing with Gucci. Meaning like this is not him right now. This is the, you know, the health challenge that she's dealing with right now. I really understood it because the way that my mom's mental was set up for some time, and she's good, but I wouldn't say she's 100% still. I think, you know, trauma to your brain is trauma to your brain under so much duress and, you know, all the things. But there would be things that she would say. And I remember like having to call family members and they would just be like, you know, you just got to realize you're not dealing with her. Even my friend, like I would call a friend who had went through something similar with their parent, and she would always tell me like, just remember, you're not dealing with your mom right now. And when your mom comes into her right mind, you like it's different. But even in reaching out to people, you just don't get it. Like you're literally in your own world because it's just you and this person. You're the only person that kind of understands, like, you know, what the triggers are for whatever the health issue that they're going through. You're the only person that understands how to kind of get them into a state where you can even talk them into understanding that they're having, you know, these episodes and these issues that they're dealing with. You're the only person that just can understand what you're dealing with, to be honest with you, because no one else is there every single day. So in listening to her speak, what she's talking about, people would never understand. Like the way that I'm seeing people react as if, you know, her method of going about taking care of her husband is too much. Like it's too forceful. She's in too much control. I saw people, you know, almost insinuating that, like, you know, he, you know, at this point is under a control that he has no power of, and just various different things. And, you know, for me, I've just learned in these type of situations that when someone is being treated health-wise, you got to give that person and the person that is caring for them every single day the room to do what they need to do to get through every single day. What she is going about doing and how she's going about doing it, we probably will never understand it, ever. Because even in talking to them from the beginning of the interview to the end of the interview, literally, I remember saying to myself, this is a lot deeper than people understand. He is going through a lot more than people understand. And thank God for Keyshia Ka'oir, because she probably saved his life on multiple occasions. She talked about one time where they had this condo in Miami, and she said her biggest fear, she never thought that he would hurt her, but her biggest fear was that he would hurt himself. And one of her thoughts was he may jump over the balcony of the condo in Miami because of mentally what he was going through. And that would keep her up at night, literally. Let's take a listen to that.
I think it's harder being me than him going through an episode because it's scary. Like we had a condo, we were on like the penthouse, and I'm like, shit, is he gonna jump? Is the voice gonna tell him to jump? Like that's the scary part, not me being scared of him hurting me. So like during episodes, I make sure no one is around him with guns, knives, high buildings, but he wouldn't leave that. That's where I had to kidnap him from. He would not leave there. He wouldn't come to the house. And I'm like, shit, I had to get like a babysitter for him because he hated me. Different episodes, he hate different people. That if you have an episode where he hates me, that's a problem.
So for people to say she's doing a bit too much, he gives sedated as if he can't make his own decisions. I think, what we're seeing is her having to do exactly what needs to be done because she's been fighting this battle with him throughout the diagnosis and all the treatment, and she's working with the doctors. Like, a lot of it is just like, mind your business. And I think it's really unfair too that, because I know Keyshia Ka'oir said in the interview, I asked her, like, what do you do when you feel like the walls are caving in? Because it gets there. It gets really, really dark, man. Like, because you can't talk to anybody. People react how, people are reacting right now online, where everybody has opinions about what you should be doing, how you should be feeling, what the person should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing, how they should be treated. You're dealing with so much alone. And she said this. She says she doesn't get help. She says she doesn't talk to anybody. She's happy when he's happy. And I completely understand that. But boy, it has to be heavy, because now on top of them, she did such a good job for so many years keeping this in their household and getting it to a point where he is alive and he's well and he's able to, and he's in the interview speaking for himself. Y'all are acting like this man is not sitting right here. But she's done such a good job of protecting home and making it a space where he can do what he needs to do to continue to be well. But now they're letting it out to the world. They're on this book tour. The album is out. He's talking about things. And that's another thing as well, too, that I thought about. I'm like, there's so many different things that still trigger me. And I wasn't a person that was dealing with someone with mental health issues as deep as I learned that Gucci's was. But there are certain videos that I was trying to vlog and like keep up with, everything that we were dealing with. And there's certain photos I'll see in my phone from that time period, and it just takes me in a whole different space. I can't imagine what it's like for Keyshia Ka'oir after this interview. She's getting a bunch of positive feedback too, as well. She said that. But I know people are calling who didn't really understand how deep it was. I know people are reaching out and, apologizing for not being there as much as they probably feel like they should have been after watching this interview. And all of that is triggering. People expressing their unwanted opinions. Everything is so is triggering for not only her, but for him. And she's there. She's dealing with this every single day. I don't know about y'all, but after sitting in this interview and speaking with them, one of the biggest things I walked away with feeling is like, if ain't nobody else gonna do it for you in your life, when you get to a point where you have no one else to turn to and you don't even understand what's going on with yourself, because he knew something was not right. He knew he needed some help, right? But he wasn't at the point where he wanted to deal with it and really dive into it and see what exactly it was and learn how to treat it. She came in, she said, and was like, I'm gonna help him. If you ain't got nobody else, baby, the way that your wife, your husband is supposed to love on you, I'm like, man, this is what it's about. Like, this is what union is about. This is what love and family is about. And I just kept saying to myself, thank God for Keyshia Ka'oir. Like, thank God for her. And that was my first time meeting Gucci. I don't know him personally. Of course, huge fan. Who is not a fan of Gucci Mane? But just hearing him detail and hearing her detail. She said one time he stood outside for 24 hours and would not come back into the house. Do you know how just far gone his mind had to be? And I'm just thinking, I'm like, this is Gucci Mane. Like, we look at him as a celebrity, all of the cars, the jewelry, the fame, you know what I'm saying? And he is in such a deep fight for his mental stability that she wakes up one day and he's standing outside for 24 hours. We had no idea. I'm like, yo, thank God for her. She probably saved his life. So I don't know what conversation you are having about this interview, but I would say if your conversation is anything other than, I want a person I love who may be going through this to watch it, I'm trying to watch it for myself, to see if I have any, similar triggers, or if I'm hearing things that sound familiar. So like I can figure out like if I'm a person that like potentially needs to go talk to somebody, whatever, or just watching it with, hey, I'm sending some love and some admiration, because it is hard. It's hard being Gucci and going through this. Think about that. Like, it's not just like it's hard for anybody dealing with anything health-wise. But imagine being a person, and people will say, like, I mean, he has all the resources and the money and he can get to the doctors. Yeah, but you still got to deal with it. Once you go see the doctor and you get treated and they tell you the meds, you still got to take the meds. You still got to wake up every day sometimes feeling like, what is life and why is life? While facing your kids and your wife. Your wife is there, and on top of that, the world is all up in your business because of who y'all are. There are so many layers to this. You cannot take anything from this interview but thank God for Keyshia Ka'oir and the patience and the love that she has for this man. And thank God that he got to the point, because also too, even if you remove Keyshia Ka'oir from the situation, Gucci needed to get to a point where we're sitting and having this conversation with him that we were able to have. And to be honest with y'all, I felt like there was one, I asked him a question in the interview, just about, East Atlanta triggering him and some of the triggers from his childhood. Let's take a listen to that. And I could tell, like, as I asked the question, after hearing so much about, like, the triggers and just how sensitive everything was, in my mind, I'm like, I hope that question doesn't trigger him. Because it does seem very temperamental, and it's something that he's, working through, and it's new, and him, going on the press tour and everything is new. And Keyshia even said in the interview, and he said, this book kind of almost put him back in a really bad space. He goes in and out of it to this day. But it made me want to watch what I was saying in that interview, but it also made me think about like just moving forward, like, it was like a self accountability. Like, I don't know, like I've been having these moments lately where I'm just sitting and I'm thinking like, is what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, like, how is that helping or hurting people? In that moment when I asked him that question, there was no malice there. I really, after hearing him say that in the interview, was wondering what other things he may have discovered from his childhood that he's had to reface in order to move forward. But it didn't feel like he was ready to talk about it, if I'm being honest with y'all. Didn't feel like he was ready to talk about that fully. And again, it's a very sensitive thing, but it made me think about like, just when you get on these platforms and you're sitting in these interviews and, all the things, like, we have a job to do and we're going to ask questions, but just understanding like, it's so crazy how like now we're able to have the luxury to sit back and think like, damn, did I just disturb that person's like well-being for the sake of content? Like, I never want to be that person. Ever, 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 ever. And I've been seeing so many think pieces on this interview and TikTok recap videos. And yo, I saw somebody accuse Keyshia Ka'oir of voodoo and witchcraft because he sat there and told y'all that his wife at one point had to kidnap him to make sure he was okay and take him to the hospital to save his life. And I'm like, do people not understand how their words travel and what that could potentially cause? Like, just so many different things. And like, granted, I ain't perfect. I'm in real time, like growing up and learning and experiencing so many different things in front of you guys. But man, I just want us to readjust the conversation around this interview. And don't get me wrong, I've seen so many great reactions as well that I do want to highlight. I don't want to take time just for the BS. I want to highlight some of the great conversations that I've also seen. I posted the interview to on my X account, and I want you guys to hear, just how people responded just to that clip where Keyshia Ka'oir talked about deleting Gucci's apps. 1 second. Nicki Minaj got mad at us as well. She had some things to say about us following this Gucci interview. I'm trying to get down my mentions to get to the reaction to the Gucci interview, but I keep running into the Barbs being upset because of the way that we covered Nicki Minaj this morning. So Sonique Saturday, shout out to Sonique Saturday. I wear a lot of her bags. She is a Black woman bag designer. Fire too, out of New York. She says, it's so beautiful to see Gucci mature and share his story with safety of having his wife beside him. They're helping so many people with this level of transparency. Maimuna_Joy on X said, the transparency in this interview highlights not only the love that they have for each other, but also their love for the Black community, as they're literally saving lives by openly sharing his battle and mental health. Yo, I saw so many people in the comments having conversations about, like, I have a family member who needs to watch this. Hey, this happened to me and I was able to go to the doctors, be diagnosed, and thank you, Gucci, for like opening up. I think it's so different because, like, again, it's like Gucci has been like the boogeyman. Like, he's like a mythical character. Like, he, it's big, it's music, it's celebrity, it's don't mess with Gucci, you know what I mean? Like, it's always been that about him. But now it's like it's vulnerable, it's honest, it's him talking about shame, embarrassment, him apologizing for things, him explaining things that, even he says in the moment he did not remember or couldn't control. Him talking about how, the medicines he's been prescribed are helping him, therapy, facing what wasn't perfect in the relationship that he had with his mother. It's the maturity, I think, when you look, because there's so many people that look up to Gucci, and I think there's certain artists of, just our time that have such a big cultural impact, and Gucci Mane is definitely one of them, and it goes from generation to generation to generation. So to hear those people be like, look, I ain't got it all together. And there's points where I'm weak and I'm out of control, and and I'm this and I'm that, but I had to get myself in check. I had to go do real things to help myself. That's impactful. And I think that's what a career, not that, this is something that he's doing because he has to for his career. He's really battling this in real life. But, I started this by saying that I've been thinking a lot about, like, dang, and what I do every single day, like, how am I helping people? Sitting in that interview and listening to him be so honest about stuff and wanting to talk about it and being excited that he's helping people through this, I'm like, yo, this is what the full circle looks like. Like, you start one way and you end another, but you use where you started to reach everybody. Like the way church supposed to be, like, come as you are. It's like a use everybody or use everything to reach everybody. And that's like the beauty of just Black art too. Like, hip hop and music intertwine so many different people, so many different things, situations, all of that. But when you think about artists that are impactful or that are influential in hip hop, and just the way that they can sway audiences all over the world, when those artists begin to do that and speak like realness around tough situations like mental health, and it's just so fire to see. And it's so fire because it's real and it's authentic. And he didn't have to share this with us. He did not have to share this with us whatsoever, because the way Keyshia Ka'oir was holding it down, I don't think we would have ever really known the extent of, what Gucci was dealing with, because she has been just so good at creating that space for him. He made the personal choice to open up about his life, about something that he battles with day to day right now. So let's be, just, I know this is like probably like Loren, you saying this on the internet. Let's just all be a little bit more thoughtful as we're reacting to these conversations, because the conspiracy theories that y'all have, I'm just like, bro, what is happening? Please take me out of the group chat. Take me out of this rabbit hole. But all in all, it was a great conversation. Make sure you guys go check out that full interview with Gucci Mane and Keyshia Ka'oir on The Breakfast Club. It'll definitely change the way you think about, just dealing with people you love in very sensitive and vulnerable situations.